Messy people, mighty God. Who is on the line? Corinth calling? Paul on the line? What happens when a church becomes more like the culture than the Christ they claim to follow? When charisma outshines character and talents drowns out the truth? Here's a better question. Can God still use a messy, divided, scandal-ridden church to change the world? Alright, Ben, it's time to buckle up. We're heading straight to the ancient Corinth, a city dripping with success, scandal, and second chances. By the end of this journey, you have the answers. And maybe you see how your own messy story fits into God's masterpiece. Picture a port city in ancient Greece, Corinth. Rich, brilliant, and utterly broken. Think about New York meets Vegas, meets Wazobia Kingdom, meets TikTok. Money flows, ideas clash, and morals optional. In the middle of it all, a tiny Christian church trying to figure out how to live for Jesus while literally surrounded by a culture that worships wealth, sex, and status. Paul gets a long distance call from Corinth. Now let's talk about Paul. He starts this church in Acts 18. Stayed there for a year and a half and then heads to Ephesus. Everything's cool until he starts getting letters about the disturbing reports of what is really going down in Corinth. Dear Paul, we have a few questions. Some of these questions were fair, others, they were pretty wild. Imagine a church having a Q&A with Paul. Paul, some of us follow you. Some of us follow Apollos. Some of us follow Peter. Who is the real leader? Paul, we're Christians now. But is it really a problem if we visit the temple prostitute? Okay, what if we just slew each other instead of thinking things out? Paul, what about marriages? Paul, can I choose a second wife? Paul, what about singleness? Paul, what about food sacrificed to idols? Paul, what about spiritual gifts? Paul, we really need your help. Chapter 1, Division in the Church. Right here we can see the Corinthians weren't arguing about Netflix shows, theology, or politics. They were divided by who baptized them. I'm Team Paul, I'm Team Apollos, I'm Team Peter, I'm Team Jesus drama everywhere. Paul slams the brake. Is Christ divided? He reminds them that the cross, not charisma, not personalities, not talent, not status, but the cross is what saves. For the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing. But to us who have been saved, it is the power of God. Verse 18. Chapter 2. God's wisdom versus human wisdom. Corinth loved philosophers. People who could flex their brains like bodybuilders. Paul, he flips it upside down. God's wisdom is hidden to the proud, but revealed it to the humble. It's not about intellect. Is about revelation by the Spirit. What no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things God has prepared for those who love Him. Verse 9. But we can see that in today's world, we still chase higher consciousness and viral motivational speakers. But Paul is just saying that without the Spirit of God, it is all noise. Chapter 3. Growing up spiritually. Right here in chapter 3, Paul calls the people in Corinth spiritual babies. He went on to say, you are acting like toddlers, fighting over toys. But in this case, the toys are the pastors, the speakers. Newsflash, pastors are just gardeners. God is the only one that gives growth. What's the application today? Too many believers stay at level 1. Never growing, never stretching, never daring to go beyond the steps of their spiritual comfort zones. They settle for the basic content to merely exist in the faith rather than thrive in it. And show up, they listen, but they never truly engage. They avoid all the hard conversations, the deep reflections, and the transformative surrender that growth demands. Paul's message in this chapter is simple. Grow up. Stop cycling the same spiritual mountains year after day, time after time. Stop feeding off milk when the feast of maturity is set before you. Stretch beyond where you have been. Allow God to refine you, challenge you, and deepen your understanding. Because faith was never meant to be stagnant. It was meant to expand, to mature, and to bear fruit that lasts. I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God has been making it grow. Verse 6. Chapter 4, the marks of a true servant. Shall I come to you with a rod of discipline, or in love and a gentle spirit? Right here, Paul shifts to dad mode, because some of them were thinking, they were acting bold, acting like Paul won't come back. Trust me, I will. So what's the application of this chapter in our today's world? The church doesn't need celebrity pastors who chase cloud. It needs humble leaders who serve, especially in a culture obsessed with image. Paul paints a different picture. A steward who stays loyal even when no one is clapping. No one is appreciating you. Chapter 5, dealing with sin in the church. Oh, in chapter 5, things get a little messy in here. A man in the church was sleeping with his stepmother. And the church is bragging about it, about being tolerant. We accept everybody. Leave your truths. Sounds familiar? Paul says, nope. Purity matters. Love doesn't ignore sin. It addresses it with courage and compassion. Do you know that a little yeast leavens the whole batch of dough? Verse 6. In chapter 6, lawsuit and holiness. Right here was a big deal because Christians were suing each other all over the place over petty arguments in front of all the unbelievers. Paul asks, why not rather why not be wrong than drag Christ's name through the mud? Then he drops the bombshell reminder. You are not who you were. You are washed. You are sanctified. You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. So back to the question. So can God use a messy, divided, scandal-ridden church to change the world? Absolutely. Corinth was a disaster, and yet God didn't give up. Paul didn't give up. Jesus didn't give up. And he's not giving up on us either. Maybe you feel messy, divided, far from perfect. Good, because you're exactly the kind of person God loves to use. When the world sees a wreck, God sees a revival. The cross is still foolishness to the proud, but for those being saved, it is the unstoppable, life-giving, city-shaking power of God. And there you have it, 6 chapters of wisdom, correction, and a few raised eyebrows as Paul lays it out for the Corinthians, from division in the church to courtroom drama. We've seen it all in this present day especially. But if you thought Paul was done stirring the pot, think again. Yeah. Next time we meet again, we're gonna step into chapter 7 through 10. This time around, things got a little personal. We're talking about relationships, singleness, marriage, food debates, and what it actually means to live in freedom. I'm gonna say Paul didn't pull back any punches. He wore it all in. So until then, keep standing strong, keep questioning, keep surviving. Because things that we do, because that's what we do. This is Band of Survivors signing off. May the grace